So I think it's really great that we had the session in this order for Chris to have the session right before me, because I think they blend well. They blend very well together, and that's because I want to ask you to take a step back from the technical stuff and think a little bit about put yourself in the shoes of the customer. And that shouldn't be hard, because at some point, each and every one of us are customers in some ways. And it doesn't matter if in our businesses we're predominantly B2C or B2B. We have to think about our customer's journey and our customer experience. In fact, more and more companies are looking at the customer experience, and this becomes more and more the differentiator. To some, about 80% of the businesses are competing strictly on the customer experience rather than anything else. For us as a business, it's even more important to take care of the customer, because our purpose is to make a difference by solving people's problems with real care. And we're doing that through our services that Chris already mentioned a little bit about in glass damage, in auto damage right now, and claim management as well, through the brands that we have in about 35 countries. So if you didn't heard about Belron as a company, you'd probably hear about one of the other brands that there are out there. So Carglass in main Europe, Safelite in the US, Autoglass here in UK, and so on and so forth. So I want to take you a little bit back in time and look back in 2010, which I called the year of the zettabyte. Was the year when our digital universe reached this limit of a zettabyte. And at that point, we started to think of way more about data. It was something that became more for more businesses than rather than a few players on the market. And at that point, I can even remember the statistics on if you're asking your business leaders what's their top priorities, you would have there the big name data in there and some other stuff afterwards. So it was, yeah, great, we're talking about data again. And because of that, we started to implement Hadoop cluster, we started to do data lakes, bad jobs, real-time jobs, a lot of things in this area. But have we really thought about the customer experience, about adding value to the business? Reality is, even now, a lot of those projects are not making it to production. None to say about adding value to the business, adding return of investment, or helping the customer experience be better. Now, if I go a little bit even further, in 2013, something that happened there, and I call it the second half of the chessboard. Does anyone have any idea what I'm talking about? Okay, so there's two sides to this story here. One is the Moore law, which you might have heard of, which came to life in the 60s. And it's about the processing power, which used to double every 20 months. And then it slowed down a little bit to 18 months, to now it's even a little bit bigger. But it still happens that the processing power doubles a certain period of time, and we get better and better in this area. And the other side of it is around way a longer time ago in India, where the game of chess was presumptively invented. And the legend says there was a Maharaja which was very interested in games. So a merchant will come to his court and present the game of chess that he invented. The rules were exactly the same like they are now. The pieces, they might be different, so you would have elephants and camels maybe instead of rooks and bishops. And the Maharaja was very interested. He liked the game a lot and said, well, I want to repay you for bringing this to me. What can I give you? So the merchant said, well, I just want 1 grain of rice for the first square on the chessboard, 2 for the second, 4 for the next one, and you get the idea, doubling every time. And the Maharaja said, yeah, of course, that's not much, I'll give you that. And called the mathematician of the court to make the actual calculation on how much rice they have to give to the merchant. So when they did the math, they realized they will have to fill in the whole India, they'll have to fill it with rice to a certain amount of level to be able to give the rice. So to resolve the problem, they chopped off the head of the merchant, job done. Well, now if you take a step back from that story, if you think of the first half of the chessboard up to the 32 doubling, the numbers get big, But it's probably, if you take that in rice, there'll be enough rice to fill up this room or maybe this building. It's an impressive amount, but it's not impossible to do it. While in the second half of the chessboard, it's where the numbers get really impressive, where the processing power, if you go back to the Moore's law, gets unimaginable all the things that we can do. In 2013 is when we started entering the second half of the chessboard in terms of this doubling. And it's when we started to do a lot in the AI space. We started more and more businesses started to implement algorithms in this area. We're talking more about deep learning, we're talking more about visual recognition, we're talking more about all those things that Chris said in the previous presentation. But are those things really helping the customers? How is, from a customer experience perspective, what is the impact? Let's take a few examples. Maybe one of the most interesting things that we're doing in this space is around working with chatbots. And there's so many ways in which this can go sideways. And I think there are some very, very known examples as well of chatbots that have gone rogue, and maybe some not so familiar ones. But all in all, for the customer, this might be sometimes more of a pain than an actual help. Now, if we go even further, and you've seen already this thing, for example, for us, for the nature of our business, it's easy to create a new booking channel to be able to book through Alexa, to create what they call an Alexa skill. But is this really a good experience for the customer? From the nature of our business, we need to ask a lot of questions about the customer, about the car, about the insurance policy, and then you end up with 15 questions. So how many questions are you prepared to ask to a metal tube you're sitting on your desk before this becomes a really unpleasant experience? And then, talking about visual recognition, we had OCR for a long period of time. And it was never great. And it got better and better with visual recognition and the things that we can do in the AI space. And I just made that number up there in 95% accuracy. But what is important here, even 95% accuracy, is that good enough for the customer? For us as a business, isn't. Because we're serving a customer every 3 seconds around the world. Which means that in only 5 minutes, if you do the math, we're disappointing for our customers, which is really not great for our purpose and what we want to do for them. And then finally, Chris already took a little bit of my thunder here on the automatic assessment. We started doing this work, and it's slightly more complicated because we need to assess what products do we need to fix the damage, what is the complexity, and so we can allocate the right technician for it. And we also have to figure out what's the time of the job, and all of those factors will also give the price to the customer. So if you're not doing that right, it will go very bad for the business, because you'll need to reschedule. You might not have the right products. You'll need to reschedule. It will mean that for the business, you will lose money, and for the customer as well, it would be really bad, because they made it a point. They realized, well, I will be without my car for this period of time. Now they need to reschedule, and so on and so forth. So what are the solutions for this? And I'll give you a kind of a universal solution for all of them. I think keeping our people in the loop for now is the best solution that we can have in this space. And if we take the examples one by one, if you think of the first example of the chatbots, nothing stops you if the confidence level drops under a certain level to bypass the stream and to give that conversation to a person in the call center to be able to talk with the customer directly. And then depending on the confidence level or depending on the decision of the people there, you can give the conversation back to the chatbot, or you can finish the appointment by the people there. With the Alexa skill, it's the same thing. You can get some questions, and you can ask some questions to Alexa, and then you can do the same thing. You can bypass the conversation to the people, and you can do it even in a smarter way. You can think of what is the queue length now in my call center, and based on that, you can answer 5 questions to Alexa, or if there's not at the time there's capacity, you might answer only 1 or 2, and then give it to the call center. And then going even further on the visual recognition, help the people pre-fill the form by getting the pictures, doing the visual recognition, but leave the people to check the information. It's way easier for the people to, instead of filling it manually, to just check between the sources. And so you eliminate part of the human errors, and at the same time, you're helping a lot on improving that accuracy, so you can bring it up to 99% or even more than that. And in the final example, you can start small. You can start with assessing the damage just for a handful of products, small batch, and then work your way there and increase that level. And if the confidence is under one or at a certain level, then just give it to the assessor teams, which will do the job. So if we're not doing these things, if we're not thinking about the customer experience and how is that influencing, things are not going to get better. Things are going to get worse because our businesses are changing a lot. And you've probably seen this acronym a lot, but there's an increasing level of volatility, of uncertainty in the businesses. And there's a lot of complexity. The usual things that we thought about cause and effect are not always right anymore. There's multiple factors and there's multiple effects that can come out of that. You'll have, if you move some knobs here and there, then you'll have influences of that. And because of that complexity, you get the ambiguity as well, because sometimes we think, well, yeah, I know this is the cause and this is the effect, but that might not be the scenario, so we're making a lot of assumptions. So what I want you to do now is, you've seen on your tables that some magic posters appear during the lunch break. So I want to play a game now with you. And I'm not going to give you a lot of time, but I want to ask you for a few minutes if you can sketch someone, you can sketch me or someone else in the audience. And after that, and you can start because I'm not going to give you a lot of time. And after that, we're going to stick them on the wall. And I want to also ask you to, as every great artist, to write your name at the bottom because there's going to be a prize as well. Don't sign it because I won't be able to read your signature, but I want you to write on your name. I'll give you a few minutes. I'll stop talking, and maybe will help you to collect those and stick them on the wall. Should I stay still so you can look at me and, yeah. I would assume most of the people would. Don't worry about the quality. Say you have about 1 more minute remaining. Finished? Finished? Great. Can we stick them? Thank you. But here, I am Andrei. It's great. Thank you, Matt. Anyone else? Yeah. Can you help me collect? I'll have to run for 10 minutes, otherwise. We have a cat as well. I don't know. Other ones. Thank you. Thank you. Come on, this is a fun game. Thank you. Come on, dears. Oh. Are those all? Okay, thank you. That's it, okay? I'll So I think we also have a winner. I think that's Grant Cadler. Yeah? Can you come on stage, please? Big round of applause, please. So my first question is, are you driving?
No.
No. Do you have friends, or because you can give it as a Christmas gift if you want to just give a easy Christmas gift, but you have to be a driver or own a car to do this.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll work it out.
So it's a voucher for a repair with our business unit who takes care of that. So you can give it as a gift for Christmas, as a useful or not useful gift. But thank you very much for the drawings. So I wanted to look at that wall and tell me, if you would just walk into this room, you didn't know this is a conference, you didn't know what's happening here, you just saw that wall, what would be the average age you would give to the people that draw this? I want to hear some answers. 12? Okay. Anyone else? 12? Okay, let's say 12. So why is that? Our capacity to think, to resolve problems in our businesses, to draw a lot of interesting stuff raises as we age, but our capacity to draw remains at the kid's age, at the school age. Why is that? And my answer to that, sorry? Not professionals. So what makes you a professional?
Skills and experience.
Okay, so you're basically stop drawing at a certain age. You don't increase your level of experience in drawing because you're not drawing anymore except for this exercise or game in a conference that I put you through it, sorry. So why is that? Because we're starting school, we're starting learning. We put our attention in other stuff and doing other things. So we're not drawing anymore. And something else happens, the same thing happens with curiosity. Our level of curiosity of looking at how we resolve problems and then what's out there new diminishes as well. So if I want to leave you with a message after my session today, would be to keep your curiosity alive, to inspire it in your teams and with your colleagues and in your businesses. If there's a business problem that we're resolving in the same way for 10 years, and we're thinking, yeah, that's the way it happens, we know we're resolving this in this way. After 10 years, there certainly is something out there that we can use to resolve that problem better. We have to look out there and have to be curious about what happens. Because only by doing that, I think we can change the VUCA world to adding value, to understanding the needs of our business and our customers, to creative problem solving, and last but not least, to creating amazing experience for our customers. Thank you.